Welcome to the Self-Publishing Tips and Tricks Show, a series designed to give you insight into the world of self-publishing and marketing your books. Featuring your hosts, Shannon, the author behind the pen name S.C. Huston, Ben Pick, and Morgan Lee. Join us several times each month when we interview authors about their self-publishing and marketing journeys, talk to industry leaders, and discuss books about writing, self-publishing, and marketing.
Hi everyone, I am Ben Pick, and today we have contemporary romance author Skye Winter. Before we talk to her, let's get some updates on whatever's happening in our lives. And note, we're recording this in April, but this episode will be airing in August 15th.
Hello, everyone. My name is Morgan Lee. I'm an indie author of 2 books so far, the first 2 in a dark fantasy trilogy.
So August 15th, my goal is that August 15th, I will have my next Kickstarter up. I don't know if it'll be going yet, but it will be up already. Those are my goals for August 15th when this comes out. And I am Shannon, by the way. I write under the pen name of S.T. Huston, author of A Clash of Goddesses series and A Curse of Scales of Feathers.
And I am Ben Pick. You can find me at Writing to Write every Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to be fuzzing around with those numbers a little bit, but I'll be working on my 4th novel by August, so I should be well underway with that process. Really excited to get started on that. I'm in the drafting period right now and looking forward to see where things go. Anyways, Skye Winter is a Canadian writer with island flavor. She loves reading, writing, romance, and of course, all things sexy. Short romances speak to her heart and her soul, but there will always be the length of her stories that depend entirely on the given story. When she's not reading or writing, she loves spending time with her friends, and although she doesn't think she's funny, they say she's a riot. She can't promise her quirky sense of humor will make it into all of her books, but she hopes you like whatever level of craziness you see.
I just have to say, I don't think I ever would have heard you say that word. Sexy. I was over here dying laughing.
I sent you the F-bombs of my outtakes at one time.
Well, so. No, the F-bombs I can see coming from Ben Pick. Sexy. I did not expect to ever hear it.
All right.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy
welcome.
I can introduce you to saying sexy.
Interesting. But would you please take a moment and tell us a little bit about yourself and cover anything that we missed?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Dee. I write under the pen name of Skye Winter. If you follow my YouTube channel, you'll see that I have changed my name recently. Well, this is coming in August, so a few months ago now, but you can go ahead and find me everywhere under Skye Winter Books. I'm on most platforms, all the social medias. I am easy to talk to, so you can reach out if you want to know anything. And yeah, I'll get back to you.
Cool. Yeah, I know a lot of people who, when they write spicier things, they tend to use not their own given name. So it's good to know, and always fun. It means that there are going to be some very spicy and interesting stories underway.
A lot.
And what made you want to start off your journey in the first place? So start writing, and can you tell us more about how you self-published your first work?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been writing since I was a kid. I have always, my parents used to buy encyclopedias because they didn't want me going out to the libraries. And these are the big encyclopedias that would come with medical books and the classic fairy tales like Cinderella, Black Beauty, Robin Hood, those books. So, but none of them in my eyes looks like me, or I'm Jamaican. So none of them even was close to my culture. So I would rewrite them and get my friends to read them. They'd all laugh at me because they're like, who is this girl writing when everybody wants to run up and down and have fun outside? But that was my introduction into writing. In grade 11 is what you call it here in North America. I started ghostwriting and doing freelance writing because times were hard and I needed to help out around the house. So I would do articles, nonfiction books, anything you name of. I was doing it on Odesk and Elance at the time. It's now called Upwork. They've joined forces, but that introduced me to professional writing. In 2019, my debut year, I went into a bookstore for the very first time in Canada, and I literally picked out 10 books that I had written with other people's name on it. It did something to me. I don't know what happened, but I was there with friends and I was like, I wrote this book. I'm like, I'm breaking every contract right now telling you I wrote this book, but I wrote this book and that one and that one. Granted, they were all nonfiction, but they were all bestsellers and they were there and they were prominently displayed and my name wasn't on them. So I went home that night setting out to write something I could put my own name on. And I decided on a whim that, you know what, I'm going to write romance because I don't know why. I was a thriller reader at the time. I read a lot of thriller and mystery. I decided I was going to write romance. Solely, I think I was watching a romance show on the TV. And so, yeah, that's what I decided I was going to write. I was determined. I told my husband, he thought I was cuckoo, but I did it. And now here we are, still going strong under a different name now, which is hurting my soul. But for security reasons, I can't do my own name anymore. So it's like, here we are. I'm still going strong, still writing. Similar brand, different name.
Awesome. So you did tell us a little bit about your decision into writing under different pen names, but can you tell us a little bit more about each pen name maybe and what genres they are, if they vary in genre at all?
Yeah, sure. So I did start out under my government name. It's a derivative of D. If you know my YouTube channel, you know what it is. It's I did under that one, I was writing Black women and the men who love them. I wanted to see people looking like me in books, finding love with people from all walks of life, right? But what happens when you do that route is that you get really, really boxed in. So my brand was so intently built on Black women and those who love them. So I found myself wanting to write other stories, coming up with other stories that did not suit the culture or realistically suit something that someone in my culture would do. And I couldn't write it because I already crafted that brand. So I decided, you know what? I want to write stories other than what's in my brand. I'm going to create a new name. And it was, again, on a whim because that seems to be how I make life decisions. So last September, I decided I am going to do a challenge. I don't remember who was doing it on YouTube, but they were writing a book in a day. I decided I was going to write 5 books in 5 days. I failed miserably, but I did end up with the first short romance book written in, I think, about 2 weeks. And I went from there. And that's where Skye Winter was born. That brand writes just fun, steamy romances. The lengths will vary. So far, they're all short, but I'm writing longer now. So you can expect books full length, shorter lengths, and I'm not linked into a specific culture. So this one will include varying subgenres, varying cultures under one name. So that's the difference in my brain. We're yet to see how the marketing for that will work, but that's the difference in my brain. That's what I'm going with.
I would say for falling into romance when you didn't consume the material was probably the right one to fall into of all the genres you could pick, since it is very successful, or authors do find success in that genre usually. So.
Well, to clarify, I did read romance. It was just because my favorite book, I have 2 favorite books. One is a romance, one is a thriller. It just was far and in between. If I went into a bookstore, I would have gravitated to the thriller mystery type of books.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I was led to romance and I now love it. But back then, it was just a little bit weird. But
yeah, like the secretive marketing side of your brain is like, you got to write this one. You're going to make money.
maybe.
That's what they say. So, all right. So we'll transition from intro questions to your publishing questions, which is, how did you make the decision to self-publish versus traditionally publishing? And did anyone or anything inspire you?
Okay, well, AuthorTube inspired me. When I was starting out in 2019, I just went to YouTube. I wrote in who's writing books, how to be successful writing books, what is the process of writing books. And I found Jenna Maris's channel. And then I found the Courtney Project's channel and Alexa Dunn's channel. And I Write Really. Now, those 4 channels are in completely different veins. Jenna Marisi does more fantasy type, a little bit of romancy, but at the time, I liked her, the way she presented material. She was very blunt. And I was like, okay, that's rare. So I gravitated to that. And then I found the Courtney Project so she did not talk about specific routes in publishing, Jenna Marisi. The Courtney Project was very heavily self-publishing, and she talked about her journey, what she did, how she did it, and answered questions with Q&As. And so I learned a lot from her there about self-publishing. Alexa Dunn and I Write Really were heavily tradpub. And I quickly realized that was not for me. I'm very much a control freak. I want to control every aspect of what I'm putting out in the world. I designed my own covers for that very reason. Luckily, I happen to be good at it. But I just want that control. I think the only thing that I have ever outsourced in my business is editing, and that's because I see doubles when I'm reading my own words. But everything else I've done for myself, and I'm very much a control freak. But now I'm seeing like there can be benefits to tradpub, and I may actually consider it in the future, which I've never thought I would say. But right now, back then, that's what got me into self-publishing.
And I would note a couple of things here. One is that we have a lot of questions for you kind of over overloaded with questions. We didn't get a chance to delve into you making covers, but she does make some beautiful covers. I actually have bought one of those covers. So so wanted to note that. And then the other thing, I think we've mentioned the word authortube a few times on the podcast, but just for anybody who might be listening for the first time, authortube is just a subsection of YouTube that's comprised of writers and or authors who come together and have a community, and it's a wonderful place to be.
And it's also a place where all four of us post our videos. So
Yes.
come find us on AuthorTube. Now, Skye, what is one misconception you had about self-publishing when you were first starting off?
Oh, the biggest misconception I had was that I thought that self-publishing just meant I was going to write the book and put it out. I quickly learned that as a self-publishing person, you are the writer, the marketing rep, the PR person, the personal assistant. You do everything on your own. And that having to do that business side of it was not in my brain when I was thinking about self-publishing. I wanted the control, but I didn't really want to do the admin work for the control. So I quickly learned that was not the case. I'm still figuring that part out, but I've gotten better over the years, luckily, I think. But yeah, that's the biggest thing I did not know. And a lot of people going in don't realize it's not just writing the book, guys. It's a business. So you're doing every single branch that a business would do on your own. And a lot of times it's basically trial and error, but you're doing it all on your own. And I didn't think of that when I was going in.
I always say the easiest part about being a self-published author is the writing.
Yes, it is. Getting the book done is A-okay, but the marketing, the thinking, the formatting, the marketing, figuring out marketing with networking with other authors, because you need other people to help you push your books. Like if you are a person that is silent and you're not an extrovert, it can be incredibly hard to self-publish. You get used to it, but starting out, because you need people around you, and a lot of people don't know that, but you need other people to help you. You need a community, or else you will go crazy.
Did you have any misconceptions about publishing in the romance genre specifically when you started self-publishing?
I didn't personally, but I do know people around me, my husband included, that thought it would be easier to write romance because you're just writing a love story. It's the books that women read, right? And it's basically just writing soft porn. Can I say that on YouTube? But it's not. It is not. It is so much more. You have to basically, you're writing characters. The characters have to be realistic. The romance have to be realistic. It still needs an external plot to drive the story along. There's so many things you have to consider that I think is somewhat harder for me to write a romance than if I hadn't gone with the thriller or the mystery that I was thinking of before. Strange, not everyone will feel that way, but that's how I feel.
From your point of view, what has been your greatest publishing success?
Honestly, I'm a writer with disabilities, and my greatest success has been not quitting. It has been hard. I've had some accomplishments that other people strive for. Like I think there's a question coming up shortly that basically talks about like things that I've achieved. I've achieved a lot. I won't lie. It's been a crazy, crazy couple of years publishing, but my greatest accomplishment in my eyes has been still writing, getting up every day, feeling pain. I'm not always sitting here. I'm mostly writing from my bed. I'm here for you guys. But the fact that I have continued going, continued pushing, I have rheumatoid arthritis. My hands are sometimes crooked. I can't type, but I'm still going. I'm still writing, and I'm still pushing. To me, that's my greatest accomplishment, not winning.
Well, I thank you for making the time to be on air with us. And for sure, I do think it is important that as writers and publishing authors, that we do think about, okay, here's a success that society or the author industry will say is a success. But I think it's important that we know what our own definition of success is.
Yes.
All right. So that question you're talking about for achievements, you are a USA Today bestselling author. We've had another author on the podcast in the past who also had claimed this awesome achievement, and it was really early in our podcast days when she came on. And we didn't think to ask any questions about it, but if you're open to it, we would love for you to explain it to us what this means in your words and how you reached this milestone.
Sure. Okay. So under my previous pen name, again, if you look at my channel, it's not hard to find, but under my previous pen name, my government name, I was lucky enough. I say lucky because I was not expecting it. It's not something that we went out going for. I know people, it's not one of my goals. I know a lot of people strive to hit the bestseller list. I don't know, in my brain, I've never really seen myself hitting a list. I knew going in that writing was hard. So I was like, if I hit it, great. If not, no. But then I was invited to an anthology, and it was a charity anthology. So it was a collection of us that hit the list. I did not hit it on my own, but it was a charity anthology. And I think it was a combination combination of being supporting a good charity, supporting a good cause. It was a good group of authors, right? There were a lot of authors that were bigger than myself. There were a lot of authors that has been on that list multiple times before, right? So I consider myself lucky to have even been invited, but I just wrote the best story I could because I saw it as a branding opportunity. In my brain, I was like, okay, I'm supporting a cause that I believe in. And this story, if someone that does not typically read my work stumbles upon my story and loves it, they'll read my backlist, which did happen for me, luckily. So I was a part of an anthology. The collection of us became USA Today bestselling authors. It was a big controversy, actually, because some people do not believe that if you hit the list in a group, that counts. But when I go onto the list and I search my name, it comes up. So I claimed it and I wore it proudly. Unfortunately, when you have multiple pen names, not all your pen names hit that list. Only the specific pen name that is listed on the website counts. So Skye Winter is not a USA Today bestselling author. I will have to work back up to that achievement. But it did feel good to actually be able to say that I am I can still say it. The books are still out there for anyone that wants them. I am proud to say that I am a USA Today bestselling author. It didn't do anything outstanding for me other than make me feel good. I won't say that I've not seen where it spiked sales or anything like that from that aspect, but it did feel good to slap it on my books, and it did feel good in my own little community to say to my mom that, hey, I actually made it to a bestseller list. So that's what those accomplishments did for me, more internally in the background than say monetary or anything major on the business scale. But yeah, that is my journey, how I got there. And it's essentially you get there by selling a ton of books. I think it helped that there were a bunch of authors in the anthology and a bunch of bigger authors that had massive newsletter lists, and there were marketing dollars going behind it to push it to get to the list.
I would say claim it all you can, for sure. So on your YouTube channel, you have a whole series on romance tropes, which is something I really love. This is when I was really starting to look at writing fantasy romance versus just fantasy. And so I was really digging into all these tropes, and I loved your videos. So can you talk to us about romance tropes and how these are actually important when it comes to publishing?
Yeah. So for those who don't know my YouTube channel, it's now called Skye Winter Books. So if you search for that, you'll find it on YouTube. I remarketed everything. But the tropes hold a special place in my heart because when I started, I did not know about tropes. And I thought I had a misconception because I thought tropes equals trend, which it does not. Actually, a lot of people don't understand that. Tropes are found in everything. It's music, books, it's whatever similar things that you can pinpoint in the media that you're consuming that basically attracts the readers is what they like. So I love tropes. It basically gives me, for example, when I'm writing my favorite, that's already a question. One of my favorite tropes is enemies to lovers, right? And I don't write a lot of it, but it is a very big selling point because it tells your reader exactly what they're expecting. So if you slap enemies to lovers on your book, granted, it has to actually be in the book. I've seen that done a lot of times where they're not even really enemies, but because it's a big selling point, you say that is. But when you go in knowing it helps you to write the book, well, it helps me to write the book because I know, okay, I'm going for this trope, enemies to lovers. So I know right off the bat, there needs to be enemies, right? And I know that along the journey, they're going to break it down. They're going to become frenemies and then friends and then lovers. So it gives me a roadmap on how to write the book. And it also gives me a roadmap on how to market the book because readers will be looking specifically for specific tropes. And when they see that, regardless of anything else that's in it, they'll grab it because they're looking specifically for that theme, that specific thing that the book or media will have. I think that's why I relate to tropes so much. On the channel when I was starting, I had just discovered tropes and that there were so many. I think I have a list of, 85 tropes, and I was going through 4 or 5 at a time, explaining what they were. And over time, it grew into more than I expected it to grow into because people wanted examples. And so I was doing more research and I learned a lot doing it. But yeah, it was really fun. I plan to go back to it. So if that's something you're interested in, check the YouTube channel, shameless plug, it will be there for you to check out.
And I would say the enemies to lovers trope, that's also one of my favorites as well. And there's actually like some divide on what that actually is. Like some people said, I want them to be in different houses like Romeo and Juliet, or I want them on different sides of a war and they're actually fighting each other. I'm like, can they just not like each other?
Well, you see now these days people have separated it. So there's enemies to lovers, and then there's more dislike to lovers. It's hard, especially if you're writing short. If you're writing a longer book, like you probably need 100,000 words to properly prove to me that they were like enemies, like complete enemies, rivals, hated each other for generations, and then at the end fall in love because they have to become frenemies. Like, fine, you're a decent person-ish. I still don't like you, and then become friends, then become a little bit more than friends before they become lovers in my eyes. So I'm one of those people that want to see the whole, probably not too far enemies, because some things I don't believe you can come back from, but I want to see that journey. So
but, marketing dislike to lovers does not sound as good as enemies.
It does not, no. Or hate to love, but hate is a strong word too. So yeah, enemies to lovers is probably the best wording to go.
So if you could only pass on one thing to aspiring self-published writers, what's your best publishing tip or trick?
So my self-publishing tip is to just write a book. There are so many people that get caught up in making a list or basically writing every day that they forget to just enjoy what they're doing and write the book. It's so easy to get burnt out. I know I did get burnt out. It's so easy to get burnt out that you can forget, because you put so much stress on yourself thinking about what's going to sell, what's the popular trope, what's the hottest trope. If you don't like something, you don't like a trope, don't do it. Write the book you love, write the book you enjoy, and worry about marketing it after you've written the book. Can't market something you haven't written, so write the book.
Then let's shift from publishing into marketing. And what marketing do you do for your books? You mentioned that you were a part of Anthology, and that way, that's one way to sort of transition people into finding interest in your backlog. But what are some other strategies that you use?
So right now, I firmly believe newsletter is king. I do a lot of newsletter swaps, a lot of newsletter marketing, that route where like book blasts, etc., stuff like that. I do not do ads right now, mainly because one, I don't understand them entirely, and two, my business is not yet at a stage where I can comfortably shell out a big amount of money for ads, expecting to get a return on my investment. I don't see myself doing it because I don't understand what I'm doing. So I do mostly newsletter swaps, book blasts. There are some marketing promotional websites that I use from time to time that helps with ARC readers. I don't have my own street team, but there are companies that you can pay that they have street teams. So they send the book out to people, big influencers, etc., to help you push the book. And so I go through that route essentially, and anything that's free. So social media, word of mouth, asking somebody on social media to share on their platform. Networking is a big marketing tool, guys. Don't do drive-by marketing. Don't just randomly pop up in a group and share your book. Don't do that. It's annoying. It annoys everyone and they'll probably block you. But if you're in groups and you're actively participating, a lot of authors will allow you to take over their reader group, for example, to share your release, to share a promotion that you're having, or a free book blast or something like that, and invite you to things. Yeah, I think that's my biggest thing, just networking, social media, and newsletters. Newsletter swaps are the biggest one.
Do you use a service like BookFunnel or Story Origin or anything like that?
So I use BookFunnel. I used to use Story Origin, but I found more people were using BookFunnel, so I switched. I know that you love Story Origin.
Well, I'm now with Story Origin and BookFunnel because BookFunnel has more romance and fantasy.
Right.
Romance. The romance is there. So
So I mostly use BookFunnel in that aspect. I use BookFunnel for newsletter swaps and promotions. I use Facebook groups for newsletter swaps. Round Robins is something that I started. I forgot about that. I do Round Robins too, which is essentially like a newsletter swap, but a different one each month. And again, you won't get invited to these things if you're not networking on, like, Facebook is really big for networking. There are a lot of groups. If you're writing romance like me, if you're writing shorter romance, there's Writing Insta-Love. They have their own collaboration group that you can join. There is, if you're writing small town, there are small town groups too. So find your subset, find your niche, and connect with other authors that have readers that are hungry for your book, and basically network with them, speak to them, actually speak to them, not just say, hey, I have a book, can you share this? Actually build connections with them and then support each other. So if they have a release, you can share theirs and they'll easily reciprocate. That's essentially what my marketing is right now, I guess.
So you mentioned a lot about the value of free marketing, but what was the best money that you've ever spent on marketing?
Okay, so the best, I have a best and worst. And the best was actually the cheapest thing I've spent was a company called Love Kiss Books. They do a lot of promotion for romances that are either free temporarily, 99 cents, and they recently started doing KU. I had just rebranded and going with them. I think it was like $15 at the time. The price could have changed. Granted, this was in 2020 and the height of when everyone was at home. So I don't exactly know if it was the company or the fact that everyone was at home. Either way, the combination worked for me because that month I made the largest I've made since publishing, and it was from a free book that started. It was the first book in the series. I pushed it as a free promotion. I just rebranded the covers, and basically it went as far as number 3 in the entire Amazon free store, and I was shocked. I was gobsmacked because I was watching it, and then the Courtney Project had did something with my covers where she was basically analyzing the covers I had, and she gave me recommendations to change the cover. That's before I did a deep dive into covers and started cover design. So she gave me some pointers. I implemented those the same weekend to do my own covers. Self-publishing is amazing that way. You can easily change things. And I went for the promotion, and yeah, it was the best $15 I'd ever spent. And I got that back in like a day because that was free, sure. But because it was the first book and it was a trilogy that I had at the time, I got amazing read through. So I would recommend them now to anybody. It's Love Kiss Books. They do mostly romance. They do all subgenres of romance, but it has to be either in KU, currently free, or for 99 cents is what they do mostly. But that's the best money I ever spent. That's $15.
And then you said you also had the worst. So that's on the other side. What market have you tried that you would never do again?
Well, never is a strong word. But when I was just starting out, I heard of great things about Goodreads. And they were offering, they just started, it was free up until I was ready to do it. And then they slapped on this big price onto it. And I said, you know what? I've seen other people have success. Let me try. And I couldn't afford BookBub at the time. And I think you have to be invited to that or accepted to that. Goodreads accepted anyone that applied. So I said, okay, let me try. So I did a Goodreads giveaway. I still don't understand what it was supposed to do because I didn't see a lot of people adding it to the thing. Maybe I did it wrong because, as I said at the time, I wasn't doing any paid ads. So I wasn't pushing it anywhere. But I would think if you're paying for it, at least they would help you to send out to their community. But I didn't see anything from it. I think I ended up sending out 5 out of the 10 books. I don't know. I just did not. Pardon?
You did paperback?
I did paperbacks, yes. And that's probably where I went wrong.
Maybe. I mean, it's hard to tell. I just did a Goodreads giveaway on my Kickstarter book. I did it in January when it came out.
But it changed. So that's what I'm saying. I'm never saying never because they reformatted their giveaways. They cut the prices because it's like half what it was before.
It was over $100. $119 is what I paid.
So when I was doing it, I'm pretty sure I paid close to $400. Well, I was in Canada at the time, so it converted. But yeah. I think I paid close to $400.
Plus the cost of the book, the shipping. Yikes.
Yeah.
I did all ebook.
I didn't make my money back, needless to say.
I did.
As I said, I probably just didn't do it right. I can admit that because I was still new. I didn't really know what I was doing. Again, I hadn't rebranded yet. The covers were off for the brand. So it could have been me.
It could have been the cover. It could have been the cover, possibly.
Yeah, it could have been me.
That would be my guess because, I mean, my book was a Kickstarter book and the Kickstarter had gone in June through July and it came out on Goodreads in January, at the end of January. So it was already 6 months out with Kickstarter. I really thought, I was like, who am I going to sell this book to? Because my audience has already bought it. Everybody who wanted it already bought it. So, but I had 1,500 people added it to their shelf, and and I made back. It's my first positive ROI on a book launch that I've ever had.
See, never say never, and you only did the ebooks.
I only did the ebook.
Never say never. Maybe the ebook is drastically cheaper than the paperback version, so I could probably in the future try the ebook side. Maybe, you never know. But right now, as it stands, it's not my go-to. No.
What marketing do you do for a new release versus something that's in your backlog?
Okay, so I'm a little bit weird. I only market the first books in a series for my backlog. I'll never ever market the others because I want that read through. So for a new release, I signed up right now for Skye. This is August. So you would have seen a book recently released that was a part of a collection. So for new releases, I tend to sign up for a lot of newsletter swaps, a lot of collections. I have specific weeks that I go hard for that book. So my social media will be very annoying, very repetitive for some people, but I've learned that you have to see a book like about 7 times before someone's brain tell them, hey, maybe I should try this book.
And only 3 to 5% of your audience actually sees your social media posts. So,
so I'm very annoying with my social media because you will see my social media posts on YouTube and then on Instagram and then on TikTok. It's very out there, but it works. It works for me. Some people do complain that they're seeing it multiple times, but it works. I recycle posts as well. And if I'm pushing a new release, I'm only posting about that new release. It's strange, but I don't really have the bandwidth to promote multiple books at once. So when I have a new release, everything is about that new release. Okay, as you hear Skye, you'll see that new release. You won't see anything else for a while. You'll see that new release for at least 2 weeks, and then I'll slowly schedule the rest of them back in. But yeah, I just go hard on that new release on social media, especially because it's a free platform and I'm not paying for it. I just spam my own newsletter and my own socials with things about the book to build excitement because I'm excited about it, and I'm trying to hopefully my excitement will be contagious and everyone else will just like what they see and love it and buy it. That's what's in my brain. Yeah, that's what I do. I just go hard on that one release for about 2 weeks, and then I put the other first books in the series back in. That's all I do now. I used to do price differences. So for a new release, I used to launch at 99 cents first. Then I tried doing $1 below, but I found I do better when I launch at full price. So I don't do that anymore. But I do know a lot of authors in the space start out with 99-cent releases or maybe a discounted rate to start and then increase. I've never found success with that. I actually sell better when I launch at full price. So that's what I do. And 2-week pre-orders because I'm impatient to do anything else.
Is there any marketing that you do that is specific to the romance genre or romance books?
Right now, most of what I do can be used by people of any genre. It's like the newsletters, all authors can have and should have a newsletter. The swaps can be done in any genre. What I will say is that those people that I swap with and the services that I use, like Locust Books, are specific for romance, but you can find similar services for most of genres. So not really, just yes and no.
I would probably say what your social media content might be geared more toward the romance part, though, maybe?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. What I'm doing can be done by every author. Every author should have social media, whatever you're comfortable with. Should have music.
I meant the content. Like, so do you like, like, I know for me, I pointed out the tropes in my book.
Yeah. So the actual content so the actual content is very, very specific to my reader. Like, I have my target reader in my head. So my social media would look different than, say, Shannon's social media. We both publish romance, but different subgenres. So for me, you'll see a lot of small town pictures, a lot of couples, a lot of half naked men, which a lot of social media platforms don't like. But if you pop like your book cover or something over the specific areas, then you should be fine. But that's my brand. As soon as you see it, you'll know I'm writing steamy romance. I did experiment last year with having females on the covers. They did do well, but I did see more success when I used the man chest that I don't love, but it screams romance, it screams steamy romance. So you'll see a lot of that on my social media. But yeah, man-chested covers, man-chested pictures with teasers from the books, pictures of the countryside, because the Montgomery sibling series that I have is in the countryside. So you'll see pictures of mountains, very scenic. So it's scenic or half naked man. That's depends on the day. Depends on the day.
I love that.
I love Brian's face. I love Ben's face.
Yes.
All right, Shannon, we know what changes you need to make for your next series covers.
Yeah, no, mine's all dragons.
Dragon man chest.
They can be used to cover up certain areas.
Half shifted.
A man chest above and a dragon tail below. You never know.
But the people might wonder what that dragon tail actually is. Okay. If you could pass on only one thing to aspiring self-published writers, what's your best marketing tip or trick?
My best marketing tip is to not force yourself to do things you hate. I've heard so many people complaining about TikTok, and yeah, sure, TikTok does sell books, but a lot of people do not like TikTok. I don't understand TikTok. I do it because whenever I'm public, as I said, I put the same thing on TikTok, on Instagram, and I happen to like Instagram. So, and YouTube Shorts, I tend to publish the same same thing across the board. But if you don't like a platform, do not force yourself to do it, because you're going to make yourself depressed. You're going to not want to write books because your mind is thinking you're going to have to make content for this after writing the book, and you'll just go crazy. A lot of things in self-publishing can make you go crazy. So at least spend the time doing what you love. Don't force yourself to go on platforms you don't like. Don't compare yourself to other authors. If you can't afford to advertise, that's fine. Everyone's journey is different. Do what you can. Even if that's just social media, do what you can. Just get the word out about your book how you can on the platforms you like. And yeah, that's my best advice. I learned that very recently. So that's the advice that I will give anyone that asks me now. Don't torture yourself. Do what you like and go hard at it. If that's just YouTube, go hard on YouTube. If that's just Instagram, go hard on Instagram. Don't try to do everything if you don't like doing everything.
Gotcha. I really like that. It's basically like write towards what you know, but for marketing.
Right.
And now it's time to ask you about some of your writing life and your works themselves. What does your typical writing life look like? Do you plan to write for a set period of time every day? Do you have weekly, monthly, yearly word count goals?
Okay, so as I said before, I'm a disability writer, or I don't know what you call us. I write, but I also have disabilities. So unfortunately, I can't write every day. I learned that the hard way. So for example, I know my publishing calendar, I have it in my head now, until the end of the year, right? Sometimes I go beyond that, but that's a whole lot of story that typically changes. But I at least know the next few books that I have to write and an idea of when I want to release it. Now, I know it takes me a bit longer. Sometimes inspiration strikes and I can write 10,000 words a day, not write physically, but dictate 10,000 words a day, right? When I can do that, great. It just happens quicker. But I say I have 3 days out of the week, especially when I'm under deadline. I have 3 days that I say, okay, these are writing days. In between those writing days will be an admin day. I'll make covers. I will beta read. I'll read. So I try to take breaks in between. So if I write Monday, Tuesday's a slow day. If I write Wednesday, Thursday's a slow day, and I just alternate throughout the week.
How much time do you spend working as an author versus other writing related activities like editing, finding readers, marketing, etc.?
Okay, so creating the story, I feel weird saying writing because I'm not physically writing, and most times I'm not physically typing. I'm mostly dictating these days because of my hands. But creating the story, the drafting process is the process that takes majority of the time for me. So I draft in the story. I'm always writing something else. I have what you call new item syndrome. So I'll be midway in a story and another idea comes. And I'm the type of person that I can't move on without getting it out. So I'll stop midway and write the first 3 chapters of the other book and then come back. So I'm mostly drafting. And then afterwards, when I'm self-editing, I listen back to the book. I play back the book to myself. I have it read to me. There is this amazing website I found called Natural Reader. The voices on there are amazing. So I have it read the books back to me, and then I hear like anything that I read along with it while I'm listening, and I will see like words that I misread in my brain. So self-editing doesn't take me that long unless there are anomalies where you find a bunch of plot holes and then you have to rewrite the whole book. That has happened. But normally I'm mostly drafting. I spend more time on drafting, less time on self-editing, and then covers are my happy place, my second happy place. So I'm always designing something for my book, whether a social media post, a book cover, a website, tinkering with my website, doing something. So maybe drafting mostly, then followed by covers, not admin on a whole, just the designing part. And then marketing and self-editing like get a little small subset of my time.
Shiny new item syndrome. That caught me up last year. I had to start 7 projects. So yeah, this year I've sat on my hands. I have wanted to stray away and like get this book done. Stop. But I've sat on my hands to stop myself from doing something else. So I will get back to them. Of the 7, I finished 3 of them. So I got 4 left. Yeah.
And now you have more waiting to get to. I started telling myself, I just need to get through this book. If I finish this book, I can move on to
I can get to that one. Yes, I know. I have that going on. Okay, so what are you working on next? And can you tell us about when your next book will come out?
Okay, so we're in August. You should have just seen a summer release. I can't tell you details because at this point, the books that I'm working on have not been announced, but I am in a bunch of collaborations. I can tell you that they'll be holiday based. There is one that is a bit somewhat mafia, not really mafia. I'm leaving the small town. Skye Winter is leaving the small town. She's going to different cities, different countries. So you can expect a lot of suspenseful paired with city life, a lot of holidays. I know there is a Christmas book coming. I don't have a title as yet, but I am in a collaboration. I'm in a lot of collaborations this year because I'm rebranding. So that's my marketing tactic, collaborations, anthologies. You'll see me everywhere, hopefully in a lot of different authors' newsletters, hopefully. So I have a lot coming. I just can't say a lot about it because I don't think these collaborations have been announced. So it's top secret, but things are being worked on.
Well, if you do know anything, when I get in touch with you a week before this airs, you can give us all the links to put into the
yes, that I will do.
Cool. And that's wonderful too. Yeah, I know all about the, can't really talk about details. Anyways, we've asked you tons of tough questions. And so now let's try something a little bit different. Are you comfortable doing a series of rapid fire questions where you answer each question as quickly as possible?
Let's do it.
All right, perfect.
See what
comes for you first? The characters, the sayings, or the plot?
The characters. Definitely the characters. Sorry. Rapid.
Morning writer or night writer?
Oh, night or afternoon. My brain is mush in the morning.
Planner, pantser, or plantser?
Pantser. If I plot, I will not write it.
Coffee or tea?
I like hot chocolate. Is that tea?
That's fair. I approve. I'm the same way.
Complete the sentence. The best thing about writing is
the crazy scenarios that comes to my head.
Favorite romance trope to read?
Fake dating.
Favorite romance trope to write?
Enemies to lovers.
Favorite romance novel?
Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey.
I've heard of that one.
Yes, it's really good. It's really good.
If you could write any other genre, what would it be?
Thriller.
Well, that is all the questions that we have for you. So thank you for answering them. And thank you for answering them so robustly, too. This has been wonderful. And before we wrap up, please tell all of our listeners where they can find you and purchase your books, preferably the ones that you're able to talk about.
My books are currently available in KU. You can find them by searching for Skye Winter. I'm Skye Winter Books on all social media. Maybe author Skye Winter if you can't find Skye Winter Books. I think there's just TikTok is hit or miss, but everywhere else is Skye Winter Books. So yeah, and you can follow me on YouTube. By the time this airs, I should be back actively on YouTube as Skye Winter. So yeah, search for me in Skye Winter Books. I have books all in KU. Search for me on Amazon and support the wonderful people on the screen.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight and giving us your insight and experience.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This was fun.
Yes, it was great having you.
Yeah. And thank you so much to our listeners and viewers. Next on our podcast, we'll have another specific topic episode. But with this interview being early in the year, we haven't exactly filled that time slot yet. However, our next guest interview will be on September 15th with Jay Darkmore, who writes horror, crime, and dark fantasy dystopia. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much to our incredible listeners and viewers for joining us on our exploration of everything self-publishing. We hope you found our podcast to be a treasure trove of insights and inspiration. If you've enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform or thanks on our YouTube episodes. Don't forget, you can catch all of our past episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and other major podcast platforms. Keep writing, keep publishing, and we'll see you next time.